season. I'm Rose Bishop. So first up we have the headlines. A Belgian music festival that recently had to be cancelled at the last minute due to alleged mismanagement is drawing comparisons to the infamous Fire Festival, right down to the fact that Ja Rule, who was booked for and closely involved in the original Fire Festival, was booked to play the Belgian festival too. At this point, I think it's safe to say that if you want any event cancelled, you can just book Ja Rule for it. In fact, here's an idea. Let's book Ja Rule to play for the Sudanese military dictatorship and see if we can't get that whole situation cleared up for good. In less glamorous news, new tax legislation was recently passed in the House of Representatives. Legislation literally titled the Treasury Law Amendment brackets tax relief so more working Australians keep more of their money close brackets bill. Straight out of the government department in charge of snappy titles. Government's onto a great idea here though, I think. Bureaucratic language can be confusing, so why not just put what you really mean in brackets at the end of a statement so everyone understands? For instance, the Religious Freedoms Act could be renamed Conservatives Have Sour Grapes About Australia Voting Yes in the Plebiscite. Or the Yes, We're Going to Change the Marriage Act Without a Plebiscite this time because we're feckless, hypocritical dickheads Act. The Timor Sea Maritime Boundaries Treaty could be called We're Probably Doing This to Fuck Up Witness K But We'll Never Tell Act. And the Liberal Party could change their party slogan to Securing Your Future, brackets, because it's become increasingly clear that none of you are going to stop us, close brackets. In music news, wholesome sweet boy and chart-topping country rap artist Lil Nas X came out as gay on the last day of US Pride Month. And to support him, all of Twitter has come out and made pretty much the exact same joke about riding dick. Lil Nas X even had to make a statement clarifying that the song Old Town Road is literally just about horses. And good on him. Sometimes songs are just about horses. Not every piece of music needs to be about sex. The theme song from the Silver Brumby, however, is 100% about fisting. In transport news, the Victorian government has revealed a plan to use data gathered from phones and apps to better plan the state's transport system. Critics are worried about the security implications, but I for one welcome this new plan. It might finally reveal the extremely high demand for an express train service from my apartment to the nearest bottle shop. Of course, given that the data came from the average mobile phone customer, we might just end up with a bus route that spells out "fuck Telstra" in cursive font. Outgoing fascist Senator Fraser Anning has written a personal letter to the Queen, pleading with her not to rescind the Order of Australia from his friend Adrian Chioc. Remember that guy? Coincidentally, that was also the exact plot of the classic 1990 children's novel by Maurice Gleitzman, 2 Weeks with the Robot Sex Enthusiast. I studied that one in Year 6. Now, in news that would be extremely hard to explain to someone who'd time-travelled here from 2003, current reality TV star Kim Kardashian recently held a press conference at the White House alongside former reality TV star, the President of the United States, to announce an initiative to provide free rideshare travel to recently released American prisoners, an initiative that later turned out to be a paid brand partnership with rideshare company Lyft. I guess the White House is doing IRL-sponsored posts now. Guys, I don't want to alarm anyone, but I think capitalism might be bad. Also, the Free Rides for Ex-Prisoners scheme sounds like a useful social enterprise until you learn that if any of them drop below a 4.3 star rating on the app, they have to go directly back to jail. Trump's America, eh? In other Kim Kardashian news, she recently released a line of shapewear that she named kimono and then tried to trademark the word kimono. Worried that this meant they were becoming too mainstream, Japan quickly clawed back its underground hipster status by resuming commercial whaling for the first time in over 30 years. Now that's truly edgy. Speaking of non-sustainable businesses, a recent article from The Guardian has shone a light on the multi-billion-dollar industry of healing crystals. That's right, you can apparently make billions by selling magic rocks. However, crystals may be becoming the new blood diamonds as they're mined in places such as Myanmar and the Democratic Republic of the Congo through the exploitation of child labour. Proponents of said magical rocks include Hollywood actress turned wellness grifter Gwyneth Paltrow, who sells crystals to encourage serenity. Really, Gwyneth? You think those mines are just filled with chilled out kids relaxed by all the crystals around them? Pretty sure most of them would tell you to shove your magic rocks not far from where you keep your yoni egg. ABC chief economics correspondent Emma Alberici has come under fire for suggesting, quote, "I think all high schools should have the right to do spot checks of children's social media accounts to ensure they comply with the school ethos." Presumably she thinks that today's generation of kids are uniquely vulnerable to corrupting influences thanks to social media, but obviously she never saw the handwritten fan fiction about the band Hanson that I used to write and distribute at school in 1996. It was surprisingly sexual. I went to a pretty average public school, so I was never clear on what our official school ethos actually was, but I'm willing to bet that my greatest work, a novella titled The Hanson Brothers Touch Each Other's Really Nice Butts, wasn't covered by it. So recently, Jared Kushner, senior advisor to the President of the United States, aka Slenderboy, aka Vladimir Kushnikov, aka Anakin Skywalker before he turned into Darth Vader but after he lost his donger on the remote lava planet of Mustafar, has put together an economic blueprint for mending the conflict between Israel and Palestine, much in the same way that Macaulay Culkin put together a blueprint to ward off the sticky bandits in the Home Alone series. His Peace to Prosperity proposal, which actually reads more like Palestine's conditions of surrender than a two-state solution, would have the US brokering a deal worth $50 billion to try to resolve the conflict. Many have argued that it looks like a plan for the US to simply buy out Palestine's freedom. The whole plan feels a little like if I got into an argument with my neighbour upstairs and instead of just leaving a passive-aggressive note about not wearing high heels on hard floors at 11 at night like a normal person, I instead just got my employee Gary from work, whose wages I pay, to come and mediate for me. And just letting you know, Gary, if you don't take my side, you are fired. This is the same US government, by the way, which last year cut all funding to the Palestinian refugee programs, a move hailed by many as a gross violation of international relations, which is incidentally how I describe yelling, "Ay puppy," during sex. Trump, in his presidential way, has completely disregarded the gravity of the situation and wants to force the hands of both parties by just throwing money on the ground. Money which isn't his, that is, and on ground which also isn't his because the ground is the West Bank and Gaza. And all the while using Jared Kushner, aka the human condom, as the mouthpiece for his ignorant rhetoric.
Give Israel more money!
Sorry folks, that's our guest for this segment butting in a little early there. Please welcome Treebort Buglug, self-employed DJ and... Sorry, is this next bit actually...
Say it!
And New South Wales Waratahs supporter.
Go the mighty Tars! I'm sorry, I missed my cue. I was busy listening to Grinspoon.
All right, Treb, if I can call you Treb.
Of course.
Now, I understand that you have some strong opinions on...
Give Israel more money!
Ooh, hot off the block there, Thorpe. Let's just slow it down a bit. I mean, this is an issue that's been plaguing the world for over half a century.
Half a century? It goes all the way back to the bloody Bible.
I mean, you're not technically wrong.
We're on the right side of history here.
Look, Treb, can you just tell us why you think that Israel needs more money?
Look, I know the lamestream media reckon Israel's got enough, that Israel shouldn't be asking for more, and that it all gets a bit muddy when third-party organisations get involved. But what we're talking about here is that sometimes Israel just needs to push those boundaries a little bit more in order to send a message.
Well, I mean, pushing boundaries is exactly what got us into this mess in the first place. I mean, Treb, are you familiar with the two-state solution?
Two-state solution? I don't give a fuck about Victoria Rose. I come from Newcastle. Come the mighty Tars!
What?
What?
So are you saying you don't think there can be peace between the parties?
On the contrary, I just reckon if the other side was to huff it up and ask for salvation, just like Israel's been saying, we could all live in complete and utter harmony. One nation,
You mean...
under God.
Okay, good. But I mean, the point is, surely any solution needs to take into account the human toll this conflict's taken. I mean, the persecution...
Look, we haven't had a good slog in the nets either, all right.
I just feel like you should hear both sides of the argument, though.
I don't need to hear the other side's argument. They're about to do the no pants dance with Satan.
That's an incredibly disrespectful way to describe the Palestinian people.
Palestinian? Is that like Israel's little brother or something?
Oh, wow, that's even worse. I mean, just so you know, we here at The Leak do not condone talking about Palestinians that way. And Treb, I just think...
All right, I'm sorry. I really am. I should have used his full name. Palestinian Falau.
What?
Am I not pronouncing his name right? Why are you looking at me like that?
What are you...
Israel bloody Falau! Give Israel more money! Go the mighty Tars!
Treebort, have you been talking about Israel Folau's GoFundMe this whole time?
You could call it a crusade of sorts.
Treebort Buglug, everybody, you are banned, and we will be right back after this.
That's understandable.
Now, in That Sounds About Right news, Rupert Murdoch's personal vanity press News Limited is offering bonuses to reporters whose stories drive reader subscriptions. As the bulk of content on News Limited's sites are paywalled, this creates an incentive for reporters from mastheads such as the Herald Sun, the Australian and the Daily Telegraph to pursue stories that grab the reader's attention and encourage them to pay for their content. According to News Corp, the initiative, and I quote, empowers our editors, newsrooms and content promoters with real-time information to understand and influence the content for which our audiences are willing to pay and stay. You know what they always say, come for the anti-union dog whistling, stay for the anti-immigrant dog whistling. And with us now to discuss this new development in Racing to the Bottom is the Leak's resident online marketing douchebag, Scott Limbrick.
Sorry, Rose, I was just listening to Grinspoon. And I take exception to that description, actually. It's not online marketing douchebag, all right? It's search engine optimization douchebag. So, okay, let's just get that clear before we start.
Okay, sorry, my mistake. But what can you tell us about this Clicks for Cash program?
Okay, well, it's simple, really. News Limited uses an analytics tool called Verity.
As in, what, the word meaning a true fact?
Okay, well, I wouldn't presume to know the meanings of words, but yes.
So the publisher of Andrew Bolt, Rita Panahi and every other right-wing propagandist in the country is using a tool called Verity.
Yes, but I don't understand.
Sorry, continue.
Okay, Verity is an analytical tool that tracks page views and can even identify when readers click on a story that leads to that same reader buying a subscription. And if I had a subscription for every Andrew Bolt article I read, I'd have exactly the same number of subscriptions I have now, because that's exactly what I do.
And what kinds of stories are converting into News Limited subscriptions, she asks, with a rising sensation of nausea?
Well, one reporter's recent coverage of the legal woes of CFMEU boss John Setka resulted in 15,000 page views and 4 new subscriptions. And another writer's piece on how children of Asian migrants do better at school helped sign up another 5 punters. They just can't get enough. They can't get enough, Rose.
And I understand this is being incentivised now at the Herald Sun with monetary bonuses for the writers themselves.
That's right, between $10 to $50 per week in bonuses, depending on the level of reader engagement, which means they can potentially double their income.
I mean, that does feel though like it kind of makes a mockery of the ideals of journalism.
Well, in an era where journalism careers are drying up, aren't you in a favour of writers earning a little extra cash?
Writers? Is that what we're calling the Herald Sun's keyboard mashers now?
Well, keyboard bashing is a real skill, and I'd appreciate it if you would endorse me for it on LinkedIn.
Okay, but seriously though, where does this lead News Limited's journalists? Like, I assume to increasingly lurid and sensationalised reporting, more openly racist and homophobic columns, content with nothing but those insulting clickbaity headlines.
But journalists don't write headlines, Rose.
Oh, don't they?
No, that's all the work of sub-editors, not journos. Which, now that you mention, creates a great new analytic revenue for Verity, tracking engagement via headlines and rewarding the sub-editors accordingly. Everyone's in on it.
Oh, God, no.
Think of the opportunities to boost reader engagement. Top 10 Muslim enclaves in Melbourne. Number 7 will shock you. You won't believe which AFL star was filmed snorting coke at Crown last night. Or will you? What this pinko lefty common union thug said about dear leader Scott Morrison will blow your mind.
I mean, sure, great. Sounds like a great idea. I mean, maybe if we're really lucky, the real news outlets will catch on and we'll end up with ABC News headlines like the real reason the UN won't hire Kofi Annan anymore, or you'll never guess which beloved Australian marsupial has just been cancelled, i.e. declared extinct, or stop the genocide in Yemen with this one weird trick.
Rose, you're incredible at this.
I was obviously being sarcastic.
No, so have you considered a career in search engine optimization?
I mean, only if my dream job in music festival Portaloo maintenance never comes to pass.
Okay, well, don't be ridiculous, Rose. We're all still chasing that particular rainbow, so this is a stepping stone.
I mean, look, you're obviously doing your best, so round of applause for Scott Limbrick, everybody.
Doing very well.
And now moving on to the New South Wales Police. Seen here in this image, sweetly comforting a friend in need. They have been in the news lately as stories of abuse of power and inconsistency across departmental handling of strip searches is rather rudely being looked in on. I mean, they are supposed to set up a screen for that sort of thing. Overuse of strip searches, though, is just one of many skirmishes in what has to be the most disappointing war for millennials since the Battle of Winterfell, the war on music festivals. But it's been highlighted by the New South Wales Police Force recently admitting that officers have been breaching their powers to conduct strip searches and are not always properly informing people of their intention to perform a search or acting on reasonable suspicion that people are carrying drugs at all, let alone up their bits. An internal report by the police says there's no clear definition of what actually constitutes a strip search in state legislation, leaving it up to individual officers to interpret the law when conducting searches. And if I've learned anything from the past, it's that any sort of text left open to interpretation will be in no way twisted to suit the agenda of people with devious intentions. To comment on the report is head of the Leak's very own War on Festivals correspondent, Katherine Allan. Welcome, Katherine.
Oh, sorry, Rose, I was just listening to Grinspoon. God, it's good to be back in civilization. I've been embedded deep in the festival conflict zone, the pill testing, the sniffer dogs, the toilet queues. War is hell.
So, Katherine, the number of strip searches being conducted by police has increased by 47% over the 4-year period ending in June last year. Does this indicate a problem?
Absolutely not.
Well, I mean, of the 18,756 people ordered to take off their clothes by officers over that period, 64% of them had no illegal items on them, which suggests a problem to me.
Rose, the only problem here is that if we want to find more drugs, we need more strip searches. It's simple maths, or math if you're American.
I mean, surely the solution isn't more strip searches, though. Strip searches are demeaning and in many cases even traumatising. What are the police doing to mitigate this?
They've taken the most serious and effective action imaginable. They've made a new department.
A new police department?
That's right. It's called the Lessons Learned Unit, an actual division of the New South Wales Police Force.
Whew, okay. And what lessons have the Lessons Learned unit learned so far?
Well, none yet, but that's what the unit is for, to investigate lessons that could potentially be learned from this situation in the future.
I mean, isn't the main lesson just don't indiscriminately strip search people when you have no reasonable suspicion that they're actually carrying drugs?
That's on the table, yes.
And what guarantees do we have that the unit will actually make the police force better or more accountable?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. Do the police really need to be held accountable? It's like the old saying about the tree falling in the woods goes. If the police conduct an unfounded strip search and severely traumatise a person and never get caught, were they even in the wrong?
That's absolutely not how the saying goes. And look, Katherine, this is awkward, but I have to ask, are you a cop?
Nope.
See, I think you are.
Just because I blindly defend their borderline unethical search practices doesn't mean I'm actually a cop.
But you are wearing a police hat.
No, I'm not.
No, but you are, though.
I'm not, though.
No, but you are.
Rose, I'm going to have to place you under arrest if you keep questioning me this way. Not a cop.
Okay. Well, look, I give up. Please give it up for definite cop Katherine Allan, everyone. Sorry, I was listening to Grinspoon. Welcome back. So it was 8 or 9 weeks ago in the Leak's writer's room where our producer confidently claimed that there's no way we're still going to be talking about the election in our last episode, but boy are we still. Former Liberal Senator Cory Bernardi recently began the process of disbanding the Australian Conservatives Party after it only being in existence for 3 years, and now he's looking to rejoin the big gang. We at The Leak have obtained exclusive footage of Mr Bernardi's people trying to figure out how to do just that.
So Corey's looking to make a big career change.
That's right. Mr Bernardi wants to disband the Conservatives and rejoin the Liberal Party.
He asked us to come here to work out how he could get the job back.
Right. Just to check, he left the Liberals a few years ago at the peak of his individual influence to start his own party, which failed to gain any traction, and now he wants back in.
That's about it, yeah.
Look, I think I can help you, but here's my big question. What's he got to offer the Liberals if he's failed without them?
Policy expertise?
He has a blog.
A blog.
A blog?
Does anyone read it?
No idea.
I read it once.
A blog. What about a vlog?
Maybe. He has a podcast.
A podcast?
Yep.
Who's on it?
Well, he had Channel 9's political editor, Chris Hillman, was on the other week.
Why would Chris Allman want to be in a fringe right-wing political podcast?
No idea.
Could he do a Twitch?
He loves rowing, so I'm sure he'd like streaming.
They are completely unrelated.
Really?
Absolutely nothing to do with one another.
Shit. The world's changed.
Mr. Bernardi hates change.
On his list of things that he hates.
The Liberals hate change.
Bloody hate it.
Hang on.
What?
The Liberals hate change.
Yeah, we know.
Corey leaving the Liberals, that was a big change. Him coming back, that's a change. But it takes us back to the status quo. And the Liberals love the status quo.
Holy shit.
I think that's it.
It's the way things were meant to be before all this change happened.
It'd be like nothing ever changed in the first place.
That's beautiful.
I think he's going to want to blog about this.
Oh, and he brings the racist dog whistling.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this season. It's been an absolute blast having you all, whether you're watching from home or in our studio. And thank you to RMIT, Channel 31, to all the cast, crew and writers who've given up so much of their time and who make this show a genuine pleasure to work on. And a very special thank you to the producers' mum and dad, who between them have been in the audience for almost every episode. Thank you all again for watching, and we will see you next time. Now let's all go home and listen to Grinspoon.